Nutrition Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
Digestive system. Digestion is the breakdown of large molecules into absorbable forms, while nutrition is the ability of living organisms to obtain and utilize food in order to maintain life. Organisms, from simple to complex, develop different types of alimentary or digestive system. The main parts of the alimentary canal are the mouth or the buccal cavity, the pharynx, the esophagus, the stomach, and the intestine. The alimentary tract is equally referred to as the digestive system. Types of feeding and alimentary tracts. Plants have no definite alimentary tract, but animals have different types with varying sizes, complexity, and modes of feeding. This follows an evolutionary trend of some sort. The complexity tends to increase as we move upwards from protozoa to the mammals. Feeding in protozoa. The prion ciliates by engulfing along with water, after which enzymes are secreted to digest the ciliate. On digestion, it diffuses into the cytoplasm. This is known as the holozoic form of feeding. Feeding in colentrates. Colentrates, like the jellyfish, sting prey using their tentacles before ingestion. Others, like the hydra, possess hollow sac, some of which have linings with flagella that mix the contents in the enteron. The digestion is extracellular and it has no anus. Filter feeding and digestion. This type of feeding occurs only in aquatic animals. They do so by mere filtration or sifting of smaller diatoms inside the aquatic environment. For example, the whales, the prawns, the ducks, and the mosquito larvae. Fluid feeding and digestion in insects. Most insects feed on fluids like the nectar from flowers, plant juice, or blood. They make use of special mouth parts like the proscobis. For example, the mosquitoes, the sassafly, butterflies, etc. Comparative analysis of various alimentary canals ranging from simple animals to complex ones like man. We have different alimentary canals. We have the alimentary canals of tapeworm, the planaria, the earthworm, cockroaches, birds, rabbits, cow or the ruminant, and man. The tapeworm has no alimentary canal. It feeds by simple diffusion of digested food from the intestine of its host, since it is an endoparasite. As we know, an endoparasite is a parasite that is living inside the body of an organism. The planaria possesses a very simple digestive system which is intracellular. Food is taken in through the mouth and digested. The major food is zooplanktons, that is free-floating small protozoa or crustaceans such as the krill, and eggs and larvae from larger animals. The earthworm. Earthworm feeds on dry leaves and gritty soil. Its alimentary system is made up of salivary gland, crop, gizzard, mesenteric archaea, malpighian tubule, the mesenteron, and the rectum. The food is broken down at the gizzard, that's a muscular wall, which contains swallowed hard objects like stones or sharp sands. The cockroaches are known to feed on human properties like food, clothes, and paper. This makes them to be called scavengers. The salivary gland secretes strong enzymes which are able to start digestion effectively. They have a very large and roomy crop. The gizzard performs a dual role of further digestion and absorption. Undigested food are ejected as feces. In the birds, the beaks of birds determine their feeding habits. Some are carnivores, for example, the eagle, kite, the heron. Others are omnivores, for example, the domestic fowl. Some are filter feeders like the duck. We have the insect eaters, for example the woodpecker, and we have the seed eaters, for example the weaver birds. Their foods are swallowed since they cannot chew. The food stays for a short time on the crop before moving further into the gizzard, where stones grind the food during muscular contraction. In the small intestine, enzymes act to digest the food. We should know that birds feed on concentrated foods like grains, which supply them with needed energy for flying. The rabbit feeds mainly on plants and their products. Digestion starts in the mouth by chewing and action of the enzyme. The muscular esophagus allows the peristaltic movement down to the stomach. The cacum plays an important role due to the presence of symbiotic bacteria that secrete cellulose, which completes the digestion by digesting the cellulose to sugar. It uses refection method to make use of some sugars by passing out feces at night and eating it again. The process is called coprophagus. The cow or ruminant. The cow is a herbivore just like rabbits and possesses symbiotic bacteria which digest cellulose into simple sugars using cellulose. Other ruminants like goats, sheep chew the cud just like the cow. That is, they bring out grass from rumen, which is a part of the stomach, to the mouth. The second chewing is the bypassing of the rumen into the other stomach to the intestine for the absorption of sugar. The alimentary canal in man. We have the mouth, the gullet, the stomach, the duodenum, the ileum, the sucrase, the lactase, and the lipase. The mouth contains structures such as teeth, tongue, and salivary glands. The teeth do the mastication, that is the chewing into paste. The tongue does the rolling of food. The salivary gland secretes saliva, which contains ptyalin that breaks down starch into maltose. There is no digestion of protein in the mouth. The food is swallowed into the gullet in the form of bolus. The gullet. The food moves down the gullet in a peristaltic manner in form of bolus. By peristaltic here, we mean the rhythmic or wave-like contraction of the digestive tract that forces food through it. The stomach. In the stomach, we have the storage, the mechanical digestion, and the chemical digestion. Food is stored between 2 to 4 hours and is released at regular intervals by the opening of the pyloric sphincter, that is a ring-like band of muscles open in a vertebrate, including humans, at the lower end of the stomach that opens into the duodenum. The mechanical digestion. Food here in human is churned on by muscular contraction of the stomach wall and converted into a semi-liquid state called the chyme by being mixed with the gastric juice. In the chemical digestion in man, the gastric juice contains hydrochloric acid that is secreted by gastric pit, in addition to pepsin and renin. Pepsin acts on proteins, breaking it down into simpler units known as peptones. The duodenum. The duodenum, which is another alimentary canal of man, here chyme flows through the pyloric sphincter into the duodenum. Bile duct transports bile from the gallbladder into the duodenum. The duodenum also receives pancreatic juice from the pancreas through the pancreatic duct. Bile contains salts, for example the hydrogen, the sodium, the trioxocarbonate, the bilirubin, and the bilirubin and waste from dead old red cells, also known as the biliverdin. Bile is alkaline in nature. Bile mixes with the chyme from the stomach and emulsifies the fats and oil present in it into an emulsion. By this we mean a stable suspension of small droplets of one liquid in another with which it is unmixable. It also stops the action of enzymes renin and pepsin. Bile gives brownish and yellowish coloration to feces. The pancreatic juice contains enzymes lipase and amylase and a zymogen, that is the enzyme precursor, known as a trypsinogen. Lipase acts on emulsified fats and oils, converting them into fatty acid and glycerol. The trypsin acts on peptones, breaking them down into polypeptides. Enzymes in the pancreatic juice are activated by the alkaline bile. Further churning of food continues in the duodenum, and the food now becomes more watery and is called a chyle. The ileum. The chyle passes into the ileum by the peristaltic movement. The walls of the ileum secrete a digestive juice called the succose entericus, which contains the erepsin, the maltose, the sucrase, the lactose, the lipase enzymes. The erepsin acts on polypeptides, breaking them into amino acids, which are the final product of protein digestion. Maltase breaks down maltose into gases. Sucrase breaks down sucrose into glucose and fructose. Lactase converts lactose, that's the milk sugar, into glucose and galactose, while lipase converts emulsified fats and oils into fatty acid and glycerol. In the rabbit, the small intestine passes into the cacum where cellulose digestion takes place. The cacum contains numerous bacteria which are able to secrete enzyme cellulase, which digests cellulose into glucose. Cacum is absent in man, and so cellulose is not digested. Summary of human digestion. On the screen is the list of the parts of alimentary canal, the name and source of digestive juice, the activation constituent of the juice, and the action it takes. In the mouth, saliva is made in the salivary gland, and salivary amylase or the ptyalin is the activation constituent of the juice, and it converts starch to maltose. In the stomach, gastric juice is made in the gastric gland in stomach wall. The activation constituents of the gastric juice are the pepsin, the renin, and the hydrochloric acid. And the action it takes include 1. Protein is converted to peptides. It clots protein in milk, which is found mainly in babies. It provides acid environment for pepsin and renin. In the duodenum, the pancreatic juice and the bile is produced. The activation constituents of the juice are the trypsin, the amylase, and the lipase. The bile produces no enzyme as it contains alkaline salt. The action it carries out include 1. It converts protein to peptides and amino acid. It converts starch to maltose. It converts fats to fatty acid and glycerol, and the bile emulsifies fat. In the ileum, the intestinal juice is produced, and the activation constituents of the juice are the erepsin, the lipase, the maltase, and other enzymes acting on sugar. The action include 1. Converting peptides to amino acid, converting fat to fatty acid and glycerol, and converting maltose and other sugars to glucose. The teeth. All teeth have some basic structures, namely the crown and the root, with enamel protecting inner layers, dentine just below, all making the bulk of the teeth. Pulp cavity is filled with connective tissues, which is called the pulp, which contains sensory nerve fibers and capillaries for sensation and supply of food, respectively. The cement holds the tooth in its socket. The dental formula. As you can see on the screen, a simple method of writing down the numbers of teeth in one side of the jaw. For example, man has 2 incisors up and down, 1 canine up and down. The premolars are 2 each, that's up and down, while the molars are 3 each, up and down, making up 32 teeth. The dog has incisor 3 up and down each. It has a canine 1 up and down. The premolars are 4 up and down, while the molars are 2 up and 3 down, and they make up 42 teeth in number. The sheep has no incisor up but has 3 down. It has no canine up but has 1 down. It has 3 premolars up and down, and it has 3 molars up and down, making up 32 teeth in number. The carnassial teeth is found in carnivores, made up of last upper premolar and first lower molar. It aids in tearing flesh. The diastema is the space between incisors and the premolars of the herbivores. The feeding habits in mammals include the omnivores, the herbivores, and the carnivores. Omnivores are animals that feed on both plants and flesh, for example man, pigs, monkeys, etc., while herbivores are animals that feed mostly on plants, for example goats, cattle, sheep, etc. The carnivores are animals that feed on flesh, and we have the dogs, cats, lions, tiger, etc. in this category.